Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 16th webinar of conducted by Sri Lanka Agricultural Extension Association. We had our last webinar on crop protective products. So we had Mr. Senarat Kirivattuduwage, the Director, Haley's Agriculture Holdings Limited, and also the chairperson of Scientific and Outreach of Crop Life Sri Lanka. He conducted about the background of crop protection products and the practices. So today, he kindly agreed to discuss further about the crop protection products, about the practices in developed countries, as well as his insights as a practitioner about the future of crop protection products. Mr. Kirivattuduwage, we are very thankful to you for agreeing to make this a complete session, conducting from where we stopped last webinar. So on behalf of the Sri Lanka Agricultural Extension Association, let me invite you to continue and conclude the overall session today. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for nice introduction, and good afternoon for all of you. And we discussed during our last discussion the background of crop protection products. So we will straight away move to the future applications and the challenges that we have in using crop protection products and how to overcome those challenges. The future products, or actually the present, the novel molecules which are coming into the pesticide industry are now target specific. That means they are working on very narrow spectrum. If we take an insecticide, the older generation insecticide like monocrotopus, methamidopus, they kill all the small creatures, all insects without any selection in a field where we apply this kind of chemicals. But most of the products which we are now using kill only some target segment of pest only. So then the farmers or the agriculture practitioners need to identify the best product to control the available pest or the pest that they are making any damage to their crops. So then now we need more and more relevant knowledge in selection of current day pest control product or pesticides. They have low toxicity profiles. That is the reason why they are very narrow spectrum. Unstable within living systems. So once these products are absorbed to either plant or insect or any other living organisms, the active ingredient molecules are subjected to the breakdown within a shorter period of time. So even these products are exposed to environment. So they are very unstable in environment. That means they have very short half-life due to high rate of oxidation or photooxidation or hydrolysis or some kind of unstable bonding in active ingredients. At present, those kind of unstable molecules are only selected as commercial pesticide, because in earlier what happened was when scientists or chemists found a molecule which is having pesticidal properties, it became a pesticide. But at present, to be eligible a commercial product of pesticide, any active ingredients need to meet so many criteria rather than the pesticidal properties that it has. So that is the reason why in recent past, the industry introduced very limited molecules. If we go to 1950s or 60s or 70s, in a year, at least few molecules, 4 or 5 new pesticides were registered. But at present, for a decade, only few active ingredients are registered as pesticides. That is because of these criteria. And then break down into safe secondary metabolites, because there are some pesticides, even they are subjected to a breakdown. So their secondary products also can make some toxic effect to the flora and fauna in the environment. But so new products don't make such kind of toxicity effects. Low bioaccumulation and biomagnification. So since all of us are related to the industry, you know that what is bioaccumulation and biomagnification. Bioaccumulation means the accumulation in the system, and the magnification is the concentration in higher order in food chains in the system, in the ecosystem. So the earlier characteristics which I explained were related to active ingredients. Then there are some developed characteristics or the features in formulations as well. The AI molecules, the active ingredient or the molecules which is having pesticidal properties are stable in formulations. That means we can keep them for 2 years or 3 years, the stated shelf life, without subjected to any breakdown of the active ingredient within formulations. Then, neutral and no reactions during storage. At present, the formulations are designed in such a way that there won't be any chemical reactions will take place in formulations when they are in the shelf. So then we can have the same formulation even after 1 year or 1.5 years from the date of manufacturing. Higher rate of dilution, this is easy to handle. Because earlier we used to apply very high rates of chemical or crop protection products for a unit land area, like 3 liters, 4 liters, 5 liters, to control. There were some we decided, still some of them are we are using, but now developed products came into the market with very low dosages, or we call it as ultra dosages. Those products are capable in controlling all the weeds available in a 1 acre of rice fields with 2.5 gram or 3 gram or 5 gram. So that means it reduced the chemical loading for a unit land of area. So those formulations are compatible for different application method, which I'm going to discuss in next few slides. So low risk to the exposures or the farmers that they are using crop protection chemicals. So at present, there are various methods of applications. The applications normally that what we have seen, the manual application, then the aerial application by the large scale aerial application by aircraft and drones, and the trunk injection, soil drenching, root feeding and application as a granule to the soil, and then through fertigation and irrigation. So now the application of crop protection products in a very different or diverse manner. So out of these application methods, at present, the Sri Lankan farmers as well as the extension workers and all professionals who are related to agriculture are mostly interested on drone spraying. Of course, it is kind of a very effective as well as safe method to application of pesticide, because drones can operate at a certain distance away from humans or the operator. So drones can address some of the major challenges facing in agriculture at present, because drone can monitor the crop health in a very precise manner. Because if we take a large extent of rice field which is affected by a rice blast or sheath blight, so then the drones can identify where the area disease is spreading. So therefore, the developed drones with some artificial intelligence will be able to identify the area without our involvement and apply the area where the crop protection chemicals are needed. Then again, this is a very good solution for the farm power problems that we are facing. Because if we take the Sri Lankan rice cultivation, the 60% of cost of production is related to farm power, either labor or machineries. So in this context, if we hire a sprayman or if we hire a labor to spray chemicals, normally the sprayman charge a premium price for their labor, while saying that these chemicals are risk. So then we tend to pay them very higher rates for an hour or a unit land area application. So then we can reduce the cost of production by using drones. And normally the drone sprayers are having the ultra low volume spraying equipments, the nozzles. So then where we can reduce the use of water consumption, and then again reduce the exposure of the operator. Even though we discuss the potential of using drones for application of crop protection chemicals, at present, use of drones in Sri Lanka is still very minimal. So then we need to introduce the machines which are suitable or fit into our systems, or which can easily operate by our farmers, and then a good relationship between the input providers as well as the machine providers, the policy makers, and the farmers. So if we address the critical issues as a team, then only we will be able to develop this very useful technology. Otherwise, it may take more and more time for us to implement this at the field level. And then we use some kind of a pilot spraying, and then share the knowledge among farmers, and then have a better dialogue and training sessions for the extension workers and the farmers, as well as the agriculture professionals. The pragmatic approach may not help to solve the problem, or it will always make limitations to promote this useful technology. The drones always are very popular in some of the developed countries, particularly in Europe, Australia, and US and New Zealand, Japan. Now they are promoting it extensively, and their conventional application methods are now replaced by drones. Very convenient and safe use for the farmers, for the operators. Then we can use drones for precision farming. As I explained earlier, we can fix the intelligent devices to drones. Then the drone will be able to recognize the disease spread or the pest prevalence or the availability of weeds in particular areas, because we know that when we take a field, so these field problems are not uniformly distributed over one particular location or a field. So then there are variations of the distribution of those field problems. While fixing artificial intelligent devices or the cameras, which are sensitive or which are able to recognize the damage, so then we can precisely do the application of crop protection chemicals. Then, so I didn't address much about the integrated pest management because we will discuss it in a different session. So this again also very compatible with the integrated pest management to increase the productivity, mitigate the risk, and again the traceability. So as I mentioned, in most of the other countries, this method is becoming very popular. The less water volume, again, cost of production can be reduced by 50%, safer for operators, compatible or even better compared to the conventional method, more efficient. Within a shorter period of time, we can cover a significant area of cropland, and the labor problem and easy to apply when there are some physical difficulties. Like, so in our case, in our rambutan season, sometimes powdery mildew spreads in a very rapid manner on rambutan plantations and making damage to immature fruits. So in such events, we can easily use drones to control such kind of fungal diseases. And even for mites on coconut and white flies on coconut. During these days, these are two major problems that we experience in our country. So if we have developed drone systems, of course, we could easily manage this kind of pest problems. But there are some regulatory and monitoring mechanisms, and we need to address them if we are to operate a proper drone system, because we have to obtain the approval from the local authorities to fly drones even on our own agricultural lands, because the aerial space is a kind of a protective place because of the civil aviation laws. Therefore, we need to educate the professionals or the farmers who are going to use drones, and then we have to amend the policies and introduce new policies for enabling our farmers to use drones on their agricultural lands. And then we have to introduce some SOPs, the standard operating procedures, how to use drones in a very safe manner. So this can be done by the extension workers of the Department of Agriculture or the relevant officers related to the crop research institutes and the universities and all professional bodies. Unlike in the conventional spraying, we better promote licensed sprayers to operate drones. So when we have such kind of professional people with the license to operate these devices, so then we can make sure that these apparatus are used in a safe manner without making any violations of the civil laws or not making underdose or over usage of pesticide, because that is also very important. Because if we use a suboptimal level of dosage, then of course definitely it would lead to a resistant development. As I mentioned at the outset, so since the current products are very narrow spectrum or target specific products, the pathogens, insects or weed could easily develop resistance over such kind of products. So therefore we have to be very careful in using these kind of products in drone technology. In future, actually, in more developed countries, so they have gone beyond even the drone technology. That means they have built digital farming infrastructures. So by using satellite technologies, they can take high definition field map or field photographs and then identify the risk and even the disease forecasting. And then we can have a system coupled with drones, the navigation systems, and very precise and accurate spraying mechanism or practice for the intended agriculture or crop land. So then again, in future, this can be applied not only for application of crop protection chemicals. Actually, it is happening in some of the developed countries. Application of fertilizer and some ground vehicles where they can run without an operator or pilot and take some soil samples and test the soil samples and map the requirement of plant nutrients. So finally, in future, we will be able to do farming with minimum involvement of people, because we have to, when a country develops, we have to release our workforce to the other industries. So then the workforce to perform agriculture is becoming very limited. And when we consider, even in our country, it's very difficult to find people who would like to engage in farming. So of course, there is a trend that many investors and educated youth is coming into the agriculture. So then those people will be able to have a very harmonized production systems with the environment, while protecting environment and reducing the impact on environment while adapting these kind of technologies. So in future, the crop protection industry also will have to go in hand with the approaches of, or the application of modern technologies in agriculture. Because we can develop some varieties incorporating the resistant genes to fungal diseases, bacterial diseases, and insects, even through genetic engineering, or even some conventional approaches with marker-aided selections. Then, with the modern technology, now we are controlling the environment in favor of agriculture. This is what we do in protected agriculture systems. In protected agriculture systems, we manipulate and make our environment favorable for crop cultivation. Then again, so under those particular conditions, of course, again, there may be, we may find a different kind of challenges. Similarly, let's assume, let's take an example. So in open field, we may frequently find some lepidopteran pest, which can make a significant damage to most of our vegetable crops. But when we go into this kind of protected agriculture systems, the lepidopteran may not attack to our crops, but the mite population will make sometimes more damage than even the lepidopteran can make in the outside field. So therefore, we have to be very careful, and we have to always practice mitigation methods with forecasting, with the data collection of sensing the environment. And so data engineering and advanced analytics we need to couple crop protection approaches with this as well, because there are many models now we are working on to identify the climate change happening over a certain period of time, let's say for a 1 year or a season, and of course the sudden changes that can take place as a sudden weather changes. So then we have to take this kind of information into our consideration and arrange our sprayed schedules accordingly, or the method of application accordingly. Like if we are planning to apply some kind of a insecticide or fungicide in a drone, if weather forecast says that there will be showers in the evening or in another few hours time, so then we better switch into our application method by applying it through the irrigation system or fertigation system. So these kind of modifications or flexibilities are required in crop protection industry. And going beyond, there are maybe some softwares, some systems where we can adjust according to our requirement, like tailor-made requirements. So then the solution which we try to bring, it can be unique or specific to us or the location or a particular operation. So why we need digital farming? Because it can make our practice more efficient while giving us some more information through artificial intelligence system. And then, as I mentioned, the multiple ways of practices are there, but we can select the best practice out of all the recommended practices according to the requirement or the conditions of the farmland at a particular given point. So then we can control the applications by using digital and electrical or electronic devices, and field data collection, and of course the forecasting of the trends, and selection of best active ingredient based on the forecast, or the as artificial intelligence suggested. And then of course we can select the AIs from the available or the recommended products. So with all these applications, we can talk about a system. Even sometimes, let's say, a decision maker is living in an urban area, but his farm is in a rural area. But the decision maker can make, if he is technically sound or capable enough to use these technologies and harmonize the agriculture knowledge with the available data, then he or she might be able to operate his farmland even from where he is living, even in an urban area. So, as an example, I will share one of the software available in the internet in selection of crop protection chemicals for a particular problem. This software is developed under the concept of impact quotient of pesticide. That means, what is the level of impact of a product that can make on the environment as well as the other beneficial insects and the ecosystem. So this is to reduce the risk of the products that we are going to use. There are three components: hazardous, exposure, and the vulnerability of the product. These three components are assessed in this software. This is available in the internet, called environmental impact quotient. Field use calculator. A calculator is available as a dialog box developed by the Cornell University, USA. So it like this, because let's assume you want to control the BPH in rice. Then there are many recommended products. The two most old chemistries recommended, I take this generics product because then I don't want to make anyone penalized or giving some promotions to any product in a public speak like this. So if we take all the molecules like imidacloprid and fipronil, so we have to mention the active ingredient and the product, the use rate per acre or hectare in the basis of milliliters, kilograms. There are options to select, and the application area, either it is a hectare or acre. So then after you feed that, they can automatically calculate this environmental impact quotient index. So I have given you an example. Imidacloprid, the active ingredient percentage, that means 200 grams per liter, and product rate 200 milliliters per acre. So then if we submit, then it gives the environmental quotient index for imidacloprid. So if we compare these two old molecules, fipronil and imidacloprid, so fipronil is comparatively safer than fipronil. So this is a very useful guideline for all our extension workers who don't have a very detailed knowledge of pesticide chemistries, particularly with respect to the toxicity to environment. So if they know the recommended list of product, so which is available as the pesticide recommendation book published by the Department of Agriculture, Registrar of Pesticide, so then they can select the recommended products to control the intended pest and calculate this EIQ value and select the best out of the recommended products based on the EIQ. This is just only one criteria. Then there are so many things to be considered again. Let's say if we are using the same chemical over and over again, there are some different chemical categories we need to use alternatively to minimize the development of resistant and cross resistances. So farming or agriculture is no more a operation. Someone can do just with the practice. So it's becoming a knowledge-based industry. So in future, the people has more knowledge, people who gather knowledge, people who are educated enough will only be able to maximize the output of agriculture, as well as finally to serve the nature while protecting the nation, while protecting the environment.
So if you have any questions, you can ask from Mr. Kirivattu Duage. Let me ask you one question. Now, you have discussed about the presence of the crop protection products in Sri Lanka, and also you told about the future. What are the policy changes that you think is necessary for these new crop protection practices to take effect in Sri Lanka?
Thank you very much. It's a very good question. Doctor, still most of our farmers and even some of the professionals need more information about the products and their activities, as well as the impact that those chemicals could make on the environment or the systems. So therefore, we want to educate, particularly the extension workers, extension professionals, about the chemistries and the potentials of these products. And then we need to control the sales and the usage of this product as well. So it is being discussed that how to prescribe pesticides like pharmaceutical drugs, because there are some drugs which ordinary person cannot access. With the prescription of a professional only, we will be able to obtain such chemicals. So because we have some products which are having high tox profiles and which are having broad spectrum nature of controlling pests. So then what I propose is we need to have some kind of a system with licensed agriculture extension workers with a proper knowledge. Those professionals can only recommend such kind of restricted products to be used to control a pest after a certain point where it become a serious pest exceeding the threshold limit.
And if possible with market incentives, is it?
Yes, this is the conflict of interest. So even in our industry, even today we practice some kind of incentives and promotions of crop protection chemicals. But we need policies and discipline to control this, because these are having a kind of a finite market. So when it comes to a consumer goods, we can create needs and wants, and it is infinite market. But when it comes to crop protection chemicals, we have finite markets. So then we need to control or reduce or discriminate the unnecessary use of chemicals, what we call, we need to promote the judicial use of crop protection chemicals. Otherwise, it will definitely make a negative impact on the industry as well.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience? We have about 5 more minutes. Any questions? Mr. Kiribattu Duage discussed with us what are the things for future. So any questions from? Actually, why I mentioned about this market incentives is you may have more experience about this. We can see sometimes just before harvesting, people use this plant protective products just to look that fresh. And also we can see some post-harvest practices which were introduced. They were not used by people because they sought to go with the traditional methods which they felt more amenable to them. It's in that respect, because I also agree with what you said. We have to have a discipline and all that, but the common people, they go more with what they feel more profitable for them on the face of something.
Yes, Doctor, I agree with you. Now these kind of practices are not that frequent like earlier, But of course, still we need to make a mindset among the farming community as well as the wholesale chains. So not to use any crop protection chemicals as a post-harvest treatment. Of course, there are some requirements in post-harvest like storaging rice grains for a 1 year period. Then of course we have to use some pest control chemicals to control the storage pest. But in order to maintain the appearance or the quality, we should get rid of using agrochemicals. That is a very bad practice.
So would you like to, before you conclude, would you like to share some good practice that you have seen probably in a country like Israel about this crop protection products, or any country of your choice?
I really like the countries like Netherlands and France. So they are now getting into the integrated pest management approaches. Because there are some, in addition to the accumulation of resistant genes into plant varieties, and there are many other management practices we can make the environment conducive for crop while making environment is undesirable for pests and diseases. And again, there is an emerging set of products coming as elicitors of resistant or immune enhancers. These people are now working on some amino acids, some kind of oligosaccharides, some kind of sulfanoids, which can enhance the plant defense system against pathogens and insects. So what they do is they harmonize crop protection chemicals with those products and then give a plant an ability to withstand or give some resistancy to the pest. So by using those, so definitely they might be able to cut down their, as per them, cut down their crop protection uses by 50% in next 5 years or 10 years. So this is a trend now which is happening in some of the developed countries. Those products are, it won't take much time to reach into Sri Lanka.
Thank you. So, Mr. Selvat Kirivattuduage, we are very thankful to you for sharing these insights with us. Actually, you serve as the Director CE of Crop Protection and Planting Materials Division of Haley's Agriculture Holdings Limited. We also know that you play a role as the chair of Scientific and Outreach Committee of CropLife Sri Lanka. Now, we must appreciate the role of CropLife Sri Lanka, because rather than looking for these commercial gains, now they have identified that all of us have a responsibility to look at the sustainability of the country. So in this context, we would like to thank CropLife Sri Lanka for the progressive practices they do, because we all have to think maybe as researchers, as extension professionals, as practitioners, we all are links in this cycle where we can, if we play our part, I think together we can revive our country to be the paradise it used to be earlier. So again, we thank you wholeheartedly, very sincerely, on behalf of the Sri Lanka Agricultural Extension Association. And these recordings are available in the YouTube of Sri Lanka Agricultural Extension Association, and I'm sure will serve as a repository of knowledge for the practitioners as well as the followers of agriculture. And we also thank the participants who have joined in this webinar, and whilst making a request to promote these practices, what we discussed, we conclude today's session, hoping to meet you in another 2 weeks' time with another insightful session on agricultural practices. So thank you all for your participation and contribution.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you very much.